So welcome, it's lovely to see you. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us what subjects you did at A-level.
Hi there, I'm Fleur Jones, and at A level I did law, modern history, and maths.
Brilliant. Gosh, that's a combination. Maths, law and history, fantastic. And what are you studying now and where?
So I'm studying law with international legal studies at the University of Leeds.
Brilliant. Now tell us, what did you enjoy when you were studying A-levels? What did you like about your three subjects and how did you find they all married into one another? Tell us a little bit about your A-levels.
I chose maths because I love problem solving, and that kind of linked into law because a lot of law A level was to do with problem solving, but it was like using literature to solve it rather than numbers, which was really fun. And then history, I just loved learning about different periods of history. I mean, we did a lot on Russia, which was really interesting. It's such a different culture to hear, so it's very fun.
Fantastic. And then tell us, you went through an LNAT. So tell us about what did you do to prepare for the LNAT? What would you suggest to people who perhaps aren't doing law A level and hints and tips about the admissions tests?
Okay, so the LNAT, the only thing I could suggest is practice. It's not really revising to learn the answers. It's a skills-based test, so I'd recommend finding as many practice papers online as possible. There are loads of free ones, so you don't have to go pay or anything. I didn't anyway, and I found it okay. So for students not taking law A level, I really would say don't worry. Like I'm here now studying, and loads of my friends doing law have never ever studied law before, and they really take you through it step by step. There is no need to ever feel out of your depth. What you could do now as you're in doing A levels, I would suggest just doing a bit of extra reading around the subject, even if it's as basic as learning what a solicitor is or learning what a barrister is, because you start to form an idea of what you would want to do. You obviously don't have to think about what you want to do yet, but it is always helpful to have that in your mind to know sort of where to go. Yeah, just reading around the subject, especially if you don't study it at A level, just to understand it a bit more, to check that you'd actually want to do it in the future.
Yeah, definitely. That's really helpful. And that's so nice to know that you know of other people who haven't done it A level. I think that's really nice for the students who've come to want to study law a little bit later. And then tell us about what are you enjoying about the course at Leeds? Did you have to do any pre-preparation work? And how are you finding the course? What are you enjoying studying so far?
So we didn't have to do any pre-work for the course. It was kind of just they told us to turn up and then they'd explain it all to us on the day to make sure everybody was on the same level, just to go through all the basics. So that was really nice. It was quite relaxed to begin with, just easing us in. Okay, so we're doing two modules at the minute. We're doing criminal law and foundations of law. Foundations is just looking at how they make laws and how they follow the laws, which is really interesting because you can start to see actually what influences the law, which is really fascinating because you start to understand why, you know, when a certain news story comes, a law story comes on the news, like you understand why it is like that. Criminal law is really interesting. It's sometimes obviously quite emotional because we do go through cases in quite a bit of detail, and it's obviously not going to be very nice because it's criminal law, but it is a really interesting subject. It's just interesting. It is a lot of work, and it is quite a bit of reading, but you don't really feel like it's a lot of reading after a while because once you start to understand the subject, it just feels quite easy, and it feels, especially with criminal law, it just feels like you're reading a story half the time because of, you know, you get all the details. It's quite interesting.
Oh, that's fantastic. And then how have you found the step from A levels to university? How have you found that kind of transfer? Were you already kind of well prepared because you were quite independent, or has it been quite a step up again? How have you found that?
So in terms of workload, I think it's, for me at the minute, is quite similar because obviously you're doing one subject in a lot more detail, but one subject instead of three. So you can focus your mind a lot more on the one. I was quite an independent learner at A level, but the step up here has been incredible. We don't really have a timetable, we're just told to do it. So you really have to work out your own personal timetable, which I'm still trying to get to grips with. Sometimes I can't do it and get a bit behind, but it's okay. I've realised most people get behind at some point, so it's fine.
And if you're finding it a step up because you were super driven, I mean, you were an amazing student, weren't you, when you were here? So that's good kind of reminder that it's a tough university, can be quite a challenge. Good. And what are you looking forward to that's kind of come up either this year or in the next couple of years in the course?
In the next couple of years, we're just going to be covering more core subjects, which I might want to go work in the future. So I'm really excited to do that. But looking even further ahead in my course, because it's with international legal studies, it means on my third year, hopefully, I can go study abroad at a university. I'm hoping in Canada or Australia for a year, which I'm really excited about.
That would be amazing. And it's so useful for other students to hear about the courses that are on offer as well at the Russell Group universities. So if you were at sixth form now, what would your hints and tips be about choosing universities or how to choose a course and how to ready yourself from A-levels to university? What would your hints and tips be?
So in regards to choosing your course, I would really suggest going through information books from universities, seeing how they do their course, because something I noticed is actually universities really teach their courses in different ways, which is something you wouldn't think about, like for example law, like you just think it's bog standard law wherever you go, but they actually teach it in very varied ways. So I really suggest you looking into detail for that. For universities, I used a mixture of looking at league tables, but that's really not important. Like I've got to stress, like that really makes no difference. Looking at insider reviews of the universities and the courses, that was always quite helpful. And just thinking about where you would be happy to live. I mean, there was another university I was set on going to for my whole 2 years, and I went and visited it, and I just really didn't like the city. And then I wasn't really thinking about Leeds, and then I came to Leeds and had a look, and I fell in love with the city and the campus instantly. And that is what I mean, you have to live here. The course, I know I say the course is varied wherever you go, but you still get a degree out of it at the end, so you've got to make sure you're just going to be happy wherever you go.
Definitely.
Any hints or tips? For now, I would suggest try and start early. I know how daunting it is to do the personal statement and everything, but the sooner you get it out onto paper, the easier it is. Even if it's just like, I just kind of splurged everything onto the page and then got people to help me rearrange, and it's a lot easier that way, because then you can spend about 20 minutes on it every day and it doesn't feel like you're drowning in it anymore. So I really suggest starting early for everything. For anything, for the exams, if you get exams, you don't get exams for everything.
That's brilliant. That's also, I love that idea of doing a little bit every day. The other thing I was thinking was really interesting about what you're saying is you're actually learning quite a lot of the theory at the same time as learning the practical, because you're doing the kind of casework and you're also doing the theory. It's quite a nice way of teaching. And so actually that's the other thing, like you said, is to look at how they teach the course, because that sounds really useful that you're doing both in parallel. So that's fantastic. Well, it's so lovely to chat to you, Fleur, and it's so nice to see you. We miss you all, but hopefully we'll be able to see each other soon and visit. So thank you so much for your insights into studying law at Leeds, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.